So I want to start a new unit of learning through Mincha Mariv. Things you need to know about davening. Important things you need to know about davening. We can take this in many different directions, but I want to start with something that we do multiple times a day. This is, and appeared in the Daf Yomi, the page of Gemara a day. This is taking 3 steps back at the end of davening. So at the end of davening, we conclude, we take 3 steps back, and we do Aseh Shalom B'Maramav. I want to talk about where that came from, how we're supposed to do it technically, and what's the meaning behind it. So it's probably spread over today and tomorrow, or Wednesday. So the Gemara says, Talmud says that when we finish davening, we should take 3 steps back and part with peace. It doesn't say specifically, you say Aseh Shalom B'Maramav, Huya Aseh Shalom. I want to look into that, like how we got to there. But it says you should take 3 steps back. Why? After you're standing in front of Hashem, you pray to God. If you're standing in front of a king, it's not proper to just say, okay, see you later. You should do it in a respectful way. So we back up backwards. Anybody ever been at the kotel? You see people walking backwards from the kotel? Anybody seen that before? So I once saw somebody do that, and I saw them fall. So you have to be careful with that. But this is not meant multiple. It's like someone walking all the way back. It's like, turn around. But this is basically just 3 steps backwards. So we're taking part we're moving away from the king, and so we want to do it in a respectful way. Now the question is, why 3 steps? Could be 1 step, 2 steps. There are different explanations to this. I think the most convincing one is this is what the priests did in their service in the temple. After they brought the Tami, the continued daily offering, they would take 3 steps back because there were like 3 slats of stone, and they would take 3 steps back, and then they would move forward with what they had to do. Another explanation says that Moshe. So there's like multiple explanations. Another one I found informative was that Moshe, whenever he would go in at Har Sinai and come out, it says that there were three partitions he had to go through and come out of. So I think this can be instructive in the sense that when you're concluding davening, you want to recognize that you're moving away from a spiritual place into the mundane world. So you want to kind of be cognizant of that. When you're walking into davening and when you're walking out, you're leaving a holy space, and to recognize that. So I want to talk tomorrow. We'll talk more about some of the halachas connected to this. But let me just add one basic halacha. How do you do the steps backwards? Okay, so the first step we take backwards is on our left foot. On our left foot. I'm not going to talk today about how we bow. We'll do that tomorrow. But when you move away, you do it on your left foot, and then your right foot, and then your left foot. Okay. There are different explanations for why the left specifically. Some say if you do it with your right foot, it'll be like you're rushing to get away from davening. So you do it with your weaker foot. So what would you say for somebody who is left-footed? So then they're rushing away with their left foot. But the common practice is to step away with your left foot, then your right foot, then your left foot. Now, is there a measurement to this? In Judaism, everything has a measurement. So there actually is discussion around this. It's pretty simple. You take 1 step with your left foot. We don't take large steps. It's not like a dance when you're like moving all that. It's not like that. So you take 1 step with your left foot, and then your right foot should move to the heel of your left foot. Okay, so you don't make them even. Okay, also you're going to be bowed down at this point. So again, you're taking leave of Hashem, so you're going to bow down, and then you're going to move your left foot back till it touches the heel of your right foot back till it touches the heel of your left foot, and then your left foot will become equal with your right. So if you think about it, it's 1 step back with your left, really 2 steps back with your right, because it's going to be past the other foot to the heel, and then 1 step back with your left. And once you do that, then you've kind of stepped 3 steps away, and then after that, you'll move forward to doing the bowing motion, which we'll talk about tomorrow. Then you're bowed down. You turn to your left, right, left again, because you're turning to God's right. You're in front of God, so God's facing you. Turning to God's right as if, because that's God's right. Says God's right hand saved Am Yisrael in Egypt, and there's a lot about God's right hand. So We're going to go, and we'll say, Oseh Shalom Bimromav. That's the first topic. God makes peace above. Next topic, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, to your right side. God will make peace upon us in the community. And then straight, Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. And those are the 3 steps. And then you're done. You've given shalom to God, and you've backed out of davening, and you've now you're re-entering into the world. So that's like the technical pieces to that. Here are a few more halachas. So let's say you're in shul. I've been in shuls in Israel. They've been extremely crowded. And when it's on a very hot day, like in Bnei Brak, and everyone's wearing suits, can get very, very crowded and very smelly, actually, in those minions. So it's not just very crowded. You don't have anywhere to go. So what do? So if you can go to the side, you do that, like foot to heel. And if you can't do that, you just go in your place a little bit, move a little bit, and you go backwards. It's better than doing nothing. The Shaliach Tzibor, the person who's leading the congregation for the Amida, they're doing the Chazarat Hashatz, the repetition. They do not have to go back at all, actually. They go back in the Kaddish that they're going to say after davening. So they do not have to go back. So you finish, you don't have to go back, because they're going to go back later on, the Kaddish that they say at the end of davening. Now, there's another time we do this left-right movement. Not everyone does, apparently. Like I was taught to do it when I was in yeshiva during Kedusha, right? So you're facing this way, Kaddish Shimcha Bala, V'kara Zeh El Zeh V'amar. So you noticed I didn't do left, right. I did Zeh, right, left. It's not a big deal. Apparently that's not, like, I was doing some research on this. Like Rav Ovadia Yosef, one of the bigger rabbis of the previous generation, he didn't do it for many years. It's kind of like a newish thing, apparently. But we don't do left, right. We do, because the whole reason we're doing left, right is when you're in Amida, the Shemona Esrei, you're in front of the Shekhinah. So you want to bow down to God's right side. But the whole point of this Akra Zel Zevi Amar with Kedusha is just to symbolize that the angels are saying to this Zeh El Zeh, this and to that. We're basically mimicking what the angels do with each other. And so there you don't have to do left, right. It's just basically Akra Zeh El Zeh, to this side and to that side. So it's a different reason why we're bowing there. So we have the bowing when you're separating yourself from davening, and that's to the left and to the right and to the middle. And then when you're basically talking about what the angels are doing, V'kara Zeh El Zeh, and you don't even have to go to the middle after, right and left, V'amar. And you're just symbolizing that they're speaking to each other. So each one is like trying to put you in a different position, in a different mindset, the bodily motions. One is to respect God. The other one is to show what the angels are doing. So you get yourself in the mindset of angels, is the steps you take before you start davening. So when you start davening, we have, in the very beginning of Shemona Esrei, you have a verse that says, Hashem's, if you want to look, I mean, most of you might know it, but page 109 and 108, the first verse there, it says, "O Lord, open my lips so that my mouth may declare your praise." That's a verse you say before you enter into the Shemona Esrei. That's from Tehillim. Right around the time when you say that verse, you're taking steps, maybe forward, maybe backwards. So I want to clarify what we're doing there and why we're doing it. So seems to be a debate as to the purpose of these steps before you daven, and it affects how we understand the number of steps. So one approach is the Kaf HaChaim. He says that we want to inculcate an approach. We want to kind of generate an energy or orientation of humility before we daven. So we walk back 3 steps, kind of again making space for God. 1, 2, 3, and then we go forward 3 steps. We're exiting, or kind of entering into that space with Hashem. We're doing it through stepping back first out of humility. But that's not the predominant view. The predominant view is it's not necessarily about humility. It's about stepping forward and coming close to Hashem. And that approach says there's no need for those back steps. And that seems to be the halacha. Meaning, let's say you're in davening, you're in a space, and you just stand up from your chair, and you start Amida, or you're actually probably maybe standing beforehand, but stand up for Tehillah Yom. You're standing, you can just walk forward for those 3 steps. And the way we walk forward is to take right foot, left foot, right foot. Right foot is like in general, like the predominant foot, not for everybody, but nevertheless, symbolically, you take the right foot first, then left, then right, and you equal them out, and you start davening. Now, the Mishnah Berurah says that people, nevertheless, technically people have accustomed to walk back anyway. So they'll be in their space to walk back 3, and they'll walk forward 3. And most likely you'll walk back starting on your left. But nevertheless, the way it's generally understood is that you're moving forward to closeness to Hashem. It's not necessarily about humility. And therefore you're taking 3 steps forward. What are we saying when we say Hashem Sfatai Titach? We say God. So this is how you do it. You take the steps forward, 1, 2, 3. Then you say the verse. Okay, so 1, right, left, right. Adonai Sfatai Titach, Ufi Agi Tilatecha. Then you get going. So there's different opinions on that. Some people say the verse is the words while you take your steps. But in this book that I'm following, he says, do the steps, then say the verse. The verse is supposed to prepare your mind to pray. Not all of us, it's not very easy to pray all the time. So this verse opens our intention. It says, God, open my lips. It's not easy to pray. Open my lips. And sometimes your lips will come open, but who knows what's going to come out. So say, God, open my lips so that my mouth may declare your praise. That praise will come out in my mouth. So that's like the 2 parts to that verse. Open my mouth so I can just open my mouth to you. It's not always easy to open your mouth to Hashem. And then we say, so that praise will come out of my mouth. So that's in general what we do here. I'll just summarize. The whole purpose is to come close to Hashem. And I think it really works with what happens beforehand, because you say, God, you have a blessing right beforehand. It says, God redeems Israel. You're kind of pumped up. You're seeing God as the Redeemer. Then you're stepping into that connection. So you're going to take 1, right, left, right, left, right. Then you're going to say, Hashem Sotai Titachi, and then get going with the Shemana Esrei. In general, just to sum up this unit, when we begin davening, we step forward. Then when we're in the Kedusha, we mentioned that all you do is you go right and left. For those who are here, you know what I'm talking about. And then when you finish davening, it's about humility. So when you finish davening, you're going to take your step. You're going to bow down, take left, right, left, because you don't want to. You're kind of hesitant in walking back from Hashem. You go left, right, and then you move forward. So that's about humility. That's why you're going to go step back and step forward. That's the general summary of what you do in terms of walking backwards and forwards. And it's really about trying to make space for God in your mind. It can have an effect on you spiritually.